The simulator has taken center stage after Ferrari carefully reviewed the telemetry data gathered during the 3 days of testing at the 5.412-kilometer Bahrain International Circuit in Sakhir last week. The SF-25 single-seater displayed strengths and weaknesses in the only collective session before its debut at the Australian Grand Prix on March 16. The prancing horse showed highs and lows that slightly cooled the enormous enthusiasm of fans in the last few weeks, sparked even more by Lewis Hamilton's arrival in Maranello. And the crowd reception the Ferrari F1 team will enjoy in Milan on Thursday, March 6, will be concrete proof of that, as Piazza Castello will host a brief exhibition of the two drivers with historic Ferrari single-seaters before they depart for the 5.278-kilometer Albert Park Grand Prix circuit in Melbourne. Ferrari, with the driver's presentation by UniCredit, perfectly embodies the concept of showmanship applied to Formula One, but the spectacle must be matched by results on track. At the Ferrari racing department, nothing is being left to chance. The engineers, led by Leclerc, are working on the right setup adjustments to find the ideal balance for the car. The SF-25, in fact, has exhibited unpredictable behavior that has slightly shaken Charles Leclerc's confidence, while his new Maranello teammate Lewis Hamilton continues to express unwavering faith in the car and the team. Therefore, distinctions must be made to avoid confusion. The car struggles with front-end setup. Understanding the pull rod front suspension takes time. This layout, aligned with McLaren and Red Bull's choices, but not Mercedes, offers undeniable aerodynamic advantages, while requiring the right mechanical adjustments. This should not be a major issue, as technical director Leclerc is a top specialist in this field and has already brought his valuable experience to the team. Ferrari arrived in Bahrain for pre-season testing with a medium downforce rear wing, opting for a less draggy configuration than McLaren, as we also detailed in a previous video. This was evident in the top speeds recorded on the fastest lap, with the SF-25 clocking in 4 km per hour faster than the papaya-colored car. The drivers of the team, led by Andrea Stella, had orders not to complete a full lap in the qualifying simulation. After showing enormous potential in the first 2 sectors of Sakhir, they deliberately hid their true pace by returning to the pits. The same could be said for Ferrari. To begin with, the 0.615 power unit was never used with an aggressive mapping to maximize performance. Carlos Sainz, the fastest over the 3 days, benefited from a Mercedes engine in the Williams FW47 that could be pushed harder than the others. More importantly, Ferrari never ran with minimal fuel on board, preferring not to give rivals any reference points. However, it is clear that extensive work has been done on single-lap pace in order to address the weaknesses seen last year with the SF-24 car in terms of qualifying performance. There are no concerns about clipping at the end of certain straights either. Electronics engineers are working on hybrid energy management to optimize electric power delivery throughout the lap. With reduced rear downforce, the SF-25 exhibited a handling shift that caused the typically oversteering car, which suits Charles Leclerc's driving style, to suddenly become understeering. This issue is under scrutiny and must be resolved in time for the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. The low temperatures in Sakhir did not help with development, but the hope is to find a solution. In terms of race pace, Ferrari appeared to be the third strongest team behind McLaren and a resurgent Mercedes, which starts stints faster but suffers greater tire degradation. The boldness shown in the new projects is the common thread between Ferrari and McLaren on the eve of the championship. However, while the numerous modifications do not seem to unsettle the car of the world champions, the new Ferrari still suffers from growing pains. The Maranello team has yet to find the optimal balance, an area where Max Verstappen and Red Bull are also dissatisfied. Mercedes hopes to take advantage of this, benefiting from good consistency in race simulations, but with the uncertainty of temperatures. The world champions do not succumb to the temptation of chasing lap times, instead impressing with their consistency over long runs. The new Pirelli tires, low temperatures, and uncertainties regarding engine mapping suggest caution in reading absolute references, but the immense progress made on a track that was challenging for McLaren at the start of 2024 is undeniable. The Woking car has made great strides in medium-low speed corners, aided by the new wind tunnel, whose larger dimensions facilitate analysis at extreme steering angles and yaw. This remains a key focus for the British team, as evidenced by Lando Norris's morning tests at moderate speeds, namely 140 km per hour, repeatedly reaching the maximum steering angle. On-track experiments and extended garage time confirm how much McLaren has changed, both mechanically and aerodynamically. Yet, the drivers perceive the car as similar to its predecessor, predictable in handling and setup. This continuity places McLaren ahead in preparation, despite room for improvement. The rising temperatures on Friday, with the track surface exceeding 30 degrees Celsius in the morning compared to 20 degrees Celsius on Thursday, amplify the rear-end instability already noted by Lando Norris, the only blemish in an otherwise very convincing three-day test. The state of the prancing horse is best reflected in Charles Leclerc's expression, aware of the work ahead but not despairing, as if the shortcomings were insurmountable. The SF-25 introduces many innovations, most notably the switch to a pull-rod front suspension, but not only that. It was not a given that the correlation between on-track data and simulator wind tunnel predictions would be confirmed, nor that aerodynamic instability or uncontrollable bouncing, issues seen in 2023, would be absent. The issues mainly concern balance, pushing the Italian side to work extensively on setup, evaluating its impact both on a single lap and with a full fuel load on medium tires, C3, a scenario Ferrari tests more than any other team. The shortcomings in balance are particularly evident in race pace, with rear end sliding overheating the tires, creating a vicious cycle. It is possible that Ferrari is simply going through a normal learning curve, given that the car has also changed in its behavior, with a much sharper front end to improve mid-corner rotation. The outlook suggests a Ferrari with significant room for growth, but with some caution. The situation would be far more concerning if the weaknesses were structural, with aerodynamic balance fluctuating more than necessary, an issue Red Bull has been dealing with since last summer. Red Bull stands out for its approach, contrasting with its 2024 testing strategy. Last year, the Milton Keynes team focused primarily on race pace, whereas now Max Verstappen is limiting himself to very short simulations. The Dutch champion is instead dedicating time to numerous setup tests, repeatedly adjusting the suspension while alternating between the old and new front wings, the latter introduced earlier than its planned debut in Melbourne. The progress the team speaks of is visually evident, although the RB21's balance is not yet optimal. Understeer on corner entry appears on multiple occasions, punctuated by Max Verstappen's frustrated punch on the steering wheel. Experience teaches never to underestimate Red Bull, but expecting another dominant start seems unrealistic. In Australia, there will also be great curiosity about Mercedes, which has shown promising signs but not without question marks. Testing in Bahrain has been atypical, with air temperatures rarely exceeding 20 degrees Celsius, suiting the preferences of the 2024 project but challenging the Silver Arrows to prove they have reduced their sensitivity to high temperatures. However, the tests have provided crucial insights into rear tire management, a chronic weakness for the Brackley cars. Notably, George Russell's race simulation is encouraging. In the middle stint, the Briton completed 21 laps on the C2 tire, consistently lapping between 1:35.0 and 1:35.3, on par with Oscar Piastri on the more durable C1, as they await a more telling comparison in Melbourne. McLaren emerges from testing as the team with the most promising outlook. Red Bull and Mercedes are positioning themselves as the main challengers, as is Ferrari, especially once it can fully exploit its potential. However, this remains a provisional picture and a very limited snapshot of the key performance factors over the course of the season. Bahrain has tested the teams under low temperatures, rough asphalt, and a layout that stresses rear tire degradation, conditions completely opposite to Melbourne, where managing front axle graining will be crucial. Furthermore, the calendar includes only 3 Grands Prix in the next month and a half, a period in which development could significantly reshape what has been seen so far. The battle, therefore, remains wide open. The feeling is that Ferrari, which was very close to McLaren in the final Grand Prix of the 2024 Formula One Championship in Abu Dhabi, may have lost some ground to the MCL39 and has been caught by Mercedes and Red Bull, shifting its position slightly in the competitive hierarchy. But it is too early to draw clear conclusions. Better to wait for the track's verdict in Australia.